So a few weeks ago, I made a video about why I prefer traditional hard drives over SSDs. And in that video, I said it was just way too expensive to get into SSDs and use that as your primary method of storage. It's just not feasible in this current time. And of course, both the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X will both utilize SSDs at the cost of storage space. The PlayStation 5 will only have 825 gigabytes, not even a terabyte. You only get 825 gigs on the PS5, and if you think that's enough storage in 2020, you're going to be in for a rude awakening, because not only are you going to have higher resolution textures because the new consoles are going to be more powerful than the last generation, obviously, but that also means that games are going to be able to be much bigger in scope because they have more technology at their disposal. And even right now in the 8th gen, you have games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare that run you over 150 gigabytes of storage space. And with technology only getting better, games are only going to get even bigger than they already are. So if people already have a storage problem right now with the 8th gen consoles, we're going to have a much bigger problem with storage, because even right now, 825 gigabytes is not even close to an acceptable amount of storage. And it's certainly not acceptable for the 9th generation. Even the Xbox Series X, which has a full terabyte, that's not even close to enough either, which was the point I was trying to make. We're gonna have a really big problem next generation, and no one seems to care. They're almost oblivious to it. They think, oh, it's not a big problem, I only get 825 gigabytes. You can always expand your storage, but how much is that going to cost? The new consoles are already going to be really expensive. We don't know exactly, we don't even have official confirmation, but $500 is probably the cheapest these consoles are going to cost, and in this fucked up economy, good luck with that. But on top of that, if you want an acceptable amount of storage, you have to expand your storage and get more SSD, because you won't be able to have the option of getting a regular hard drive because the PlayStation 5 is meant for SSD, whatever. Console manufacturers, they don't let you decide for yourself. You have to do what they say you have to do. And in the case of storage, the reason why that's such a huge problem is that it's going to cost a lot of money to get more SSD storage compared to a regular hard drive. So let's say you want 4 terabytes, which over the next year or two should really be the minimum storage that any person should have, because it's not feasible to only have less than a terabyte. Even 2 terabytes is kind of pushing it, since games are going to double in size. So if you want a 4 terabyte hard drive, that'll cost you less than $100, but if you want a 4 terabyte SSD, that'll cost well over $400, which is almost the cost of the console itself. How ridiculous is that? But you gotta love these console fanboys in heavy damage control mode saying, oh yeah, SSD is gonna change gaming forever. SSD is gonna make my game so much more powerful. And the Xbox Series X has a slower SSD, which means the PS5 will have the best games and the best graphics and everything's gonna be great. I mean, we've all seen these idiots on Twitter. They think they know so much about hardware, they pretend that they know, but they don't know anything. And I just find it funny when I see Xbox and PlayStation fanboys arguing about which console is better, and they're talking about consoles that haven't even come out yet, so how do you know which console is better? Which brings me to this comment that someone left on that video that I made talking about HDD versus SSD, and I found it so hilarious, so ridiculous, that I had to make a video about it. It's comical how PC gamers have spent all these years accusing the console of holding back gaming when this next gen will be the other way around. Yes, the PS4 and Xbox One were very underpowered consoles, which forced devs to scale back their games in order to run on those consoles, but with the PS5 and Series X having more power than 2080 Super and SSD capabilities, they will blow PC gaming out of the water. I'm sorry, I have to pause. I can't take this comment seriously. This guy can't honestly be serious. He has to be a troll. He mentions that the new console is going to be more powerful than the 2080 Super, which first of all is debatable, because this guy's only going off of teraflops, and just because a GPU might have more teraflops doesn't inherently mean it is more powerful and more capable. Not all teraflops are equal. A GPU's power is not only measured by teraflops. But even if it were true that the Series X or the PS5, whatever console, is more powerful than a 2080 Super, it doesn't matter. I know what you're going to say. PC gaming can adapt to the consoles. Yes, it's true that eventually PCs will have better graphics, but those cards will not be affordable to the average person, making them irrelevant. And yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, because PC gaming, that's the thing about PC, it can always adapt, and it's already starting to. We're not that far away from the 3000 cards from Nvidia, which will be so much more powerful than the PS5 and Series X. So why are we having this conversation? I hear this so much from console fanboys that the PS5 and Xbox Series X are going to be so much more powerful than a gaming PC. Not understanding that PC gaming is always changing, always adapting, while consoles are stuck in their 5-year cycle. And as far as the newer cards being irrelevant because they're too expensive, first of all, that doesn't even make any sense. Because if you do get the most expensive cards, you will objectively have a better frame rate and resolution than anybody else. So how exactly is that irrelevant? Because they're too expensive and most people won't be able to afford them? Okay, do you not realize what's going to happen with these new consoles? The new consoles are going to be irrelevant for at least 2 years. Kind of like how the PS4 and Xbox One were irrelevant during the first year of its life cycle. Remember, all the big AAA releases also came out on PS3 and 360. That's going to happen on PS4 and Xbox One also with these new consoles, because the average person is not going to be able to afford them. They're going to be more expensive this generation, and I knew a lot of people back then who couldn't afford the PS4. They certainly aren't going to be able to afford the PS5, because that system will cost at least $500, and that's in the middle of one of the worst economic recessions in history, which means it's going to take at least 2 years before these consoles take off. Even if the economy starts to recover, which it kind of is, it's going to take a while for a lot of people to get back on their feet. So you're talking about irrelevant because of cost? Well, hate to break it to you, but the PS5 and Series X are probably going to have that problem. The other variable is that SSDs will be standard on the new consoles, while optional on PC. You said in this video that HDD is better, but you know that's not really true. Well, first of all, I never said that HDD is better. I said that I prefer it. And having a preference is so much different from saying that something is better than the other. I never said that HDDs were better. Of course SSDs are better. I just don't think it's worth sacrificing storage space for faster loading times. But it's not just faster loading times. SSDs will allow devs to rethink how they design games, since loading times will be eliminated. But the thing is that the greedy PC gamers won't allow gaming to advance. Even though SSDs will be standard on the new consoles, PC gamers love their freedom, so they will choose not to buy SSD and buy the cheaper HDDs instead. Ironic, because PC gamers brag about how much they spend. What I'm trying to say is that HDD use on PC will force devs to lower their standards for a PC release. And that's what you PC scumbags have always called out consoles for doing. Hypocrites! I can't wait for PC to die. It's killing my favorite hobby. Whoa, that's a bit dramatic, don't you think? And it's also not true, because PC is where all the innovation happens, but whatever. I get what you're trying to say. Console gamers don't have the freedom to choose which hard drive they want to use. They have to use the SSDs, while PC gamers have the freedom to do whatever the hell they want. And most of them are going to choose to stick with regular hard drives because they're cheaper. PC gaming is already expensive. So yeah, they're going to go with the cheaper option, but PC gamers also want to have as much storage as they possibly can, like any gamer would. And they're going to choose the option that gives them the most storage at the best price. But at least on PC, you have that option. And I have no doubt that one day SSDs will become the standard for game storage, because the technology is better, and better technology will eventually become more widely adopted and accepted. That's what happens with everything. How many years did it take for the average consumer to accept HD? Remember how expensive those flat screens were back in the day? Now they're like $200. So I have no doubt in my mind that SSDs will become the standard, but for now, we're years away from that happening. But as far as games being held back for the next couple years, it's not going to be held back by PC, it's going to be held back by the PS4 and Xbox One, because like I said earlier, people ain't going to buy a $500, $600 console in this fucked up economy. It's just not going to happen. So that means you're going to have a lot of support for the PS4 and Xbox One for the next couple years. And that's going to have nothing to do with SSDs and HDDs. It has nothing to do with that. So if the next couple years of gaming are going to get held back technologically and will be prevented from reaching their full potential, it's not going to be because of PC gaming, it's going to be because of consoles, because of the PS4 and Xbox One. So the idea of PC gaming holding back the gaming industry, it's just laughable. Because throughout gaming history, it's always been the consoles that have held back gaming, not PCs. And as far as SSDs are concerned, people are really overhyping the power and capability of SSDs. Sure, you get much faster storage, which can drastically improve loading times, and reduced loading times can certainly change how developers can program their games in a lot of cases, but as far as it being as important or more important than having better graphics and having a more powerful GPU, CPU, and all that stuff, I mean, that's just ridiculous. What SSDs are most useful for is running your machine's operating system, because you know how Windows back in the day used to be really slow, but now if you have an SSD, it pretty much boots up instantly. Like, it's amazing. And when it comes to accessing important files and stuff like that, you really want to have an SSD. And that's why most pre-built machines come with an SSD and a regular hard drive, so that your computer runs fast while also being able to have enough storage to play a lot of games. But when it comes to actually running your games, you don't need an SSD. Because if you're running a PC with the new RTX 3000 cards, and we don't know exactly exactly how much they're going to cost. They're probably going to be really expensive, but let's just say for argument's sake that you have a 3000 card running on your PC and you have an HDD, no SSD. Assuming you also have a really good CPU, you're obviously going to have a lot more power and more potential with your games than a PS5 with an SSD. But let's not pretend we don't already know that. Console gamers, they're clueless when it comes to technology and all the hardware specs. They don't know shit about it. They're the same people that had no problem running their games at 30 FPS for the past 6 or 7 years. So, yeah, they obviously don't understand how the world actually works. But I find it entertaining how stupid these people actually are. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot of good material this next generation.